So in the beginning, we started studying the collective energy of the room. And every single event that we've done, the energy from that event, the next one we do is greater than the previous one. And we started seeing this scale of energy going up in the room dramatically. Then we thought, okay, well, how does it affect people? How does it really affect people? So like 1,000 people, put them in a room, teach them how to elevate their energy, open their heart, put 50 people in the front of the room wearing heart rate monitors. And they're just sitting there. And the rest of the room is having the intent that the people wearing those heart rate monitors, that their lives be enriched, that their bodies be healed, that their dreams come true, that the mystic will find them. Just for 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
And at the exact same time, the exact same day, in the exact same meditation, all those people that are wearing those heart rate monitors, their heart goes into coherence. Yeah. So all of a sudden there's non-local effects. Now, what's the significance of that? You get a collective group of people. That's not the number of people with like a stadium full of people cheering. That's a lot of energy, but it's entropic, it's misdirected, it's disorderly. A smaller collective network that's more coherent with brain and heart coherence, stronger signal, greater effects. So what we did was we started using these sophisticated random event generators. Random event generator, okay, a sophisticated coin toss. You toss a coin and it's heads or tails, and if you keep tossing it, the more you toss it for the whole entire day, because there's only 50-50, the more you toss it, the more it looks like it's going to be 50-50, right? So those are random. You can't control that because that's just the flip of a coin. So they have these computer programs where they do the exact same thing. They randomly are recording heads or tails, ones or zeros. And the coin is tossed 1,000 times in 1 second. So it's a lot of random moments. So you get a collective network of people together with brain and heart coherence. And what we've discovered is that the influence of random events go from being random to becoming more intentional. In other words, what we're seeing is that all of a sudden it's no longer random. That we have 1,000 people in the room or 2,000 people in the room. The energy of the room is actually affecting random events to become more intentional. So now, how are we going to change the world? How are we? It's not enough to just do a peace gathering project in a city where crime rates go down, violence go down, there's economic growth, less car accidents. Great, that's a great thing when you're measuring it, but when the meditators leave, after a period of time, it just returns back to normal. It's not enough to just focus on peace. It's time to live the prayer. It's time to demonstrate peace. So then it turns out that the brain actually synchronizes with people you hang out with. People who call it with people you're with. You start behaving like them. You start thinking. Your brain actually looks like their brain. So you get a collective network of observers all hanging out together and focusing on some really big things, and they know brain and heart coherence. They can cause seemingly random events to become more intentional without really having to, protest or whatever. You change the field, and you get enough of them doing that, and you start producing outcomes. In our events, it's not uncommon for someone to stand on the stage and say, I was blind and now I'm seeing, I'm deaf, now I'm hearing. I had stage 4 cancer that spread to my bones, my liver, my lungs. We had a cancer researcher on the stage just last week. Cancer researcher with a very, very aggressive sarcoma in her uterus. The prognosis is poor. She was unresponsive to every treatment. She's a cancer researcher. She starts doing the work. All of the cancer that spread to all of her organs and bones completely gone. Cancer in the uterus completely gone. She has no sign of cancer. So she discovered the cure for cancer, and it wasn't anything out there. She discovered it within her. Like, she has no evidence of cancer in her body. Now, metastatic cancer, when it spreads to bones or to organs, typically Very rarely does that reverse, right? So now you're seeing someone reverse a stage 4 cancer, and that's becoming the new normal in our work. People are actually understanding that it is possible because they're witnessing it. That's one side. We've done such extensive measurements on brain states. We've had over 18,000 brain scans. We've studied hearts when you're anxious, when you're resentful, when you're impatient, when you're frustrated, compared to a heart that is loving and kind and caring and grateful. It's a very different experience for the heart, and we want our students to be able to do that on a consistent basis. We've seen immune systems get stronger by changing fear to gratitude by 50% in 4 days. We partnered with the University of California, San Diego recently, and we started studying thousands and thousands of biological markers in the blood of people during meditation. Now, we have such great evidence to show that there's something very profound that happens when a person has a transcendental moment and they have an interaction with energy. When they hit those elegant states, they sometimes come to events as sick. We draw their blood at the beginning of their event, and we see what happens to their brain, we see what happens to their heart, and we know this person has had a profound moment, and we draw their blood and we measure everything afterwards. If we take the plasma of those individuals as an example, and we take a pseudovirus that looks just like SARS-CoV-2, or we actually take, now recently, we actually did the actual SARS virus, and we put that virus in the presence of that person, that advanced meditator that had that transcendental moment. There's a consistent resistance to the virus. The virus cannot enter the cell of that person. In people that are novice meditators, and they come to a week-long event, some of the virus enters their cell and some of the virus stays out, so there's somewhat of an immunity. In all the controls, they get infected. All right, so we know now that there's some agent, some cofactor in the blood when a person has this moment. So we've gone through some extensive scientific studies, and we actually isolated the very protein that stops the virus from entering the cell. And if we take that protein and we put it in the infected plasma of the controls, all of the infected controls become uninfected.